Hello, YouTube. Welcome to the Stratosphere Studio. It is the 19th of May, 2025. Hope everybody's doing well. Good to see everybody. I'm wearing one of my favorite shirts. I just love this color. This electric blue is probably my favorite color, except for gray silver. I think those are pretty much it. Voice is a little out of action today. Had a fun weekend. Got up early on Sunday to get in here and get some serious editing done. Yes, the hair is behaving. It was subjected to intense chemical action, hours of it, and no audio. We're good. Surely we're having. Yeah, we're good. We got audio. Yes, we got audio. Okay. Anyway, the yeah, got up at 6 o'clock. Had a leftover chicken quesadilla that my wife got the day before. Natasha was feeling kind of off on Saturday, so on Sunday morning I get up at 6. I got this heated up this chicken quesadilla and took a shower. And by 8:30, I was puking my guts out. I just was really, really sick. The some kind of food poisoning. It just took me down, man. I spent all day Sunday horizontal on my left side, and praying for for an early death. It wasn't from Taco Bell. It was actually from a fairly nice place. Roadrunner told me to never take a shower. It makes me sick every time. So anyway, Speaker Steve over on YouTube says it'd be funny if Bill did a whole 3.5 hour tour with no audio. I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest with you. Yes, it is. It's the 3-week-old chicken quesadillas. You leave them out to get that nice gamey flavor, kind of hang them from the rafters outdoors. Anyway, I was just bad. I was yesterday. Better today, but hard waking up. Still feeling like somebody scooped me out with an ice cream scoop. Not feeling my best. But we'll keep it kind of keep it short. It wasn't much of a puke. More of a blah, kind of a blah, but it wasn't really great, epic puking. Just kind of yeah. But food poisoning, just nasty business, man. And and Finney says you want the cure of some nice warm sun dried mayonnaise. Yeah, exactly. We can cover this more on Thursday because it's a political issue, but I just think it's a good thing just to warm the room up. People coming in as we kind of get going here. So it's been revealed that Joe Biden has pancreatic cancer that's spread to his bones, and so has Scott Adams. And first things first on this, when I heard the news about Biden, prostate cancer for Biden. What did I say? Prostate. Yeah. Anyway, when I heard the news, because I just can't stand the man. Yeah, I don't even remember what I said. I meant to say prostate, but I must have said something else. Not pancreatic, prostate. Thank you. And I heard the news, and I just despise him. And I thought, am I happy to hear this? And the answer is, I'm really not. Honest to God, I really dug deep on this internally. Like really, truly, genuine. Not like what looks good or sounds good. How do I really, honestly feel about this? And I don't find myself happy that somebody's got prostate cancer that spread to their bones. Even somebody who I think did so much damage to this country. I just don't have that. I just don't have that kind of. I want to see Trump killed guy. I just don't have it in me, man. I would like Biden to have a moment of clarity to realize how much damage he's done. But this, I want him dead. I want him to die of cancer. It's something really wrong with people, with that Trump derangement syndrome. I am awfully glad he's out of office, and I frankly wouldn't mind in the slightest seeing him marched off to prison. But I really genuinely looked at it and said, are you like happy about this? Like, no, I'm not happy about it. It's I don't know, man. It's just something really different. Marisha Dark says, I'm skeptical about Scott Adams' claim. Timing seems too perfect and has been known to parody before, but I could be wrong. There's no way. There's no way on earth that Scott Adams is faking that. Not a chance on the earth. That guy has got a professional sense of humor. There's nothing funny about that. Some are saying his announcement of cancer was just to get the Her tapes off the news. Yeah, maybe. All I'll tell you is, yeah, I'm getting a little hoarse. It's mostly from being sick last day. Unlimited Hornet Work says Scott believes in simulation theory. This is literally the best time to announce also has cancer. He said, I saw in his announcement, he said that mentally he's prepared for it, but the worst part of it is the pain, which is excruciating. He said this is a really, really painful cancer, and dealing with the pain is the hardest part. Yeah, Dave Big Booty said he'd be gone by summer. Listen, I don't think Joe Biden's going to survive June, to be honest with you. But I was genuinely sorry to hear about Scott. He's a really unusual guy. There's very, very few people who have the Venn diagrams of professional comedy and engineering overlapping. I don't know if he must have been an engineer. I don't know much about his background on Dilbert. I just know that I thought Dilbert was hilarious, and and plus he's looking pretty gaunt. So in any event, two cases there, and to hear Scott Adams announcement was just absolute courage. It was just great courage. On what night was it? Wednesday. I think I mentioned it briefly on Thursday night, but Wednesday night I went to see my friend Mike Walsh talking about Rage to Conquer, and then I went out and bought his book Last Stands, and Last Stands is about masculinity and yeah, maybe I can get to him for story mechanics and other things. That's a really good idea. Road Rider says he had it 4 years ago and had it ripped out of him. He said, well, that's hopefully cut out. But I got to tell you, man, I just think John Pershing says he thinks he wrote that book to honor his father. Yeah, his father was at Chosin Reservoir, and he probably did do it to honor his father. But that whole book is about masculinity and hardship and death before dishonor, and constantly coming back to the idea that there are worse things than dying, and that throughout almost all of human history, when death was common, it was very important that you made a good death. That you went out like a man, like a man, and listening to Scott talking, I thought that's how I want to deal with it. If and when it goes that way, just really courageous and calm and here's a word you don't hear very often. Dave Big Booty is quoting Dave Barry. Says, if the male anatomy is Florida, the prostate is in Tallahassee, and the only way to access it is via a dirt road from Alabama. Well, the prostate is Tallahassee. They got that part right. yeah, I just, that's a word that you don't hear much of anymore, is dignity and elegance, and I don't like the word class, because people are, oh, that's very classy. Classy is not a word that classy people use. But Scott is really showing us how it's done, and it's just, um, you know, it's just inspiring. It's inspiring, um, and I'm sure he's going to Valhalla one way or another. Bunch of other stuff to talk about. I got some things to show you a little bit later. Um, I had seen a little bit of clips from the new Superman movie and had been extraordinarily underwhelmed by them. But I did see a trailer today that Nerdrotic gave a thumbs up to, and I actually was really pretty impressed by it. I hadn't thought much of the Superman actor, but watching this latest trailer really inspired me. Um, and I was watching this. It's only about a minute and a half long, but it's basically Superman just saving people. And I realized that's what the appeal of that character is. That's what I like. That's what I love about Superman, is just him saving people. And in this trailer, he's just that's what he's doing. He's saving people, and it's a real effective way to sell the character. Um, the and the new Superman logo is pretty bitchin' too. Um, but it make me like this character a lot better. It make me like the actor playing Superman a lot better. Um, and I just thought that, there's like a scene where there's something exploding or a fire or something, and Superman dashes between this explosion and this. I want to say it's a young girl who only saw it once. But he just spreads his cape and just takes this blast, and it's like that's what Superman's all about. And I think obviously, just think Calvo was just terrific. But when you put him with, and I did not like Man of Steel very much, but when you put him with all the other people in Justice League, it's really like, he needs his own movie. uh, and and I just thought that he really captured the essence of what this guy is. You know, he's kind of a real life savior. He's kind of a savior for this world, and I was real impressed with the trailer. So I was happy to be. I don't know if I was wrong about it, but I certainly didn't have a good first impression. So with any luck, anyway, we will see. Um, and Yeah, and I kind of agree with Michael Harvey in the YouTube's comments. He says the trailers are colorful. I just like the prior dark colors. Yeah, they eventually made Superman, gave him finally essentially what they wanted the whole time, really, I guess, certain kind of people anyway, which is a black outfit, really, really cool looking black outfit. But that that red and blue, is really not anything to be ashamed of. I remember the version of Superman with Brandon, Brandon, um, where his suit was kind of a teal color. Maybe these things don't really matter, but I was talking earlier about this electric blue shirt. This is like Superman blue. It's like blue. Brandon Routh, thank you. Who was all right. I just thought it was a terrible, 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 terrible script. Um, and I got some CGI to show you guys. So there's that. And they keep using the Superman theme. How can they not, right? I mean, it's how many movies? Well, let's see. There were the four. There was the Superman movie with Christopher Reeve. There were four of those. So that's the Superman theme four times. I don't remember if they used it in the Brandon Routh movie. I think they probably did. Then they used it in Man of Steel, and they're using it in this Superman as well. So it's just how are you going to improve on that? You're just not. You're just not going to improve on that. But anyway, there's that. And I'm curious before I get into showing these things, and we'll get into the questions. Before I get into that, I want to talk about something that's going to be. I like to do it on the shows before I go out there in public and get some feedback, because this is, to my surprise, probably not to your surprise, somewhat controversial, but I'd like to know what people's thoughts on this are. So let me tell you what my thoughts on this are, this next subject. It's a Thursday subject, but here we are. Kash Patel and Dan Bongino sat down and said they took a look at the FBI files and said that Epstein did in fact commit suicide. And when I heard that, I thought, okay, Epstein committed suicide, because I trust those guys. I don't have inside information. I know that the thing had a real stink about it, real stink about it. But I saw all over Twitter and X. I mean, all over X. They got to Dan Bongino. They got to Kash Patel. They only lasted a couple weeks. They got to him, and I just find that, sad that people would think that. I really just find that sad. The reason I wanted to bring this up is because I had limited information, and it seemed to smell really bad to me, and a lot of people are thinking that Dan Bongino and Kash Patel sold out, and I just don't think that way. Dan Bongino built a reputation for patriotism and trustworthiness over years and years and years, long before he ever took the job at the FBI or thought there was even a chance. Either one of them had a chance of being either director or assistant director of the FBI. When Dan Bongino and Kash Patel, but Dan Bongino I know much better than Kash Patel, when Dan Bongino says, I looked at the file and it's a suicide, that's good enough for me. Some say that Kash and Dan got orders to say that the deep state got to them. I don't think you can tell Dan Bongino to say something that he doesn't believe. And so I'm not saying it's not suspicious. I'm just saying that I trust these guys. And this is how I weigh evidence. What I've heard about the Epstein suicide, I've heard fourth hand. And what I know about Dan Bongino and Dan Bongino's integrity, I have firsthand. And so if he tells me that they took a look at it, then I trust him, because he's earned it. And I don't know how people can say that people who've watched Dan Bongino or been fans of his, I don't know how people can say, oh, they got to him, they sold out. It's like, that is not the most likely explanation. I think the most likely explanation is that there are elements to the case that haven't been released that they saw, and I believe it. So Eric says, I suspect Kash and Dan said that because they're in the middle of investigating the Epstein death and don't want the suspects to know they're getting close. Yeah, but maybe he did kill himself. So I don't know, man. I just saw lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of people saying, well, Dan Bongino is sold out. And I just don't think that way. I just don't. There are people in this world that have earned my trust, and I trust them. and 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 I don't know what to say about that other than to say that's just how my opinion goes. Um, I they in my opinion they've earned it, and and there was lots and lots of speculation, and that's good enough for me. Um, Kirk's Bamboo Bazooka says, I believe in their integrity, but I really want some receipts after Bondi overpromised on the JFK thing. Well, see, this is the thing. Did Bondi overpromise on the JFK thing, or was there no there? Because this is what I'm trying to get to the bottom of. Is where do you where how do you weigh evidence? How do you determine what's real in the world? And I've maintained that, having read Case Closed, which deals with all of the so-called blockers on the Kennedy conspiracy one by one and just knocks them down and makes a perfectly reasonable, perfectly straightforward case, and many things that I had heard about the Kennedy assassination turned out not to be true, like the magic bullet, for example, and many things were left out of the books that I read about the Kennedy assassination until I read Case Closed. But when people say they underdelivered on the JFK thing, maybe that's all there was. I mean, people are so sure of things that we know of third, fourth, fifth hand. I know it's not. I know that, Eric, it's not. They're getting grief about the JFK thing, but somebody mentioned that that they underperformed on this. In other words, they didn't get to the truth. The truth of which was, that it was either Kennedy or Hoffa. I mean, it was Hoffa, it was Johnson, or it was Castro, it was the mob, it was whoever. So I just bring this up. I know it's marginally popular position, but we gotta be on our guard about not falling into what's the word I'm looking for here? But I know what I want to say. I just can't think of the word I'm thinking of. I almost said overconfident thinking, but it's not overconfident thinking. I think it's reflexive. Maybe that's the word. Reflexive thinking. Now, does the fact that he committed suicide mean that Bill Clinton and a bunch of other people weren't on that island? No, of course not. And there are reasons, to think that you probably wouldn't survive too long in prison. But I'm not going to go down there. I don't have the facts. But Dan Bongino and Kash Patel either have the facts or are lying about having the facts. But let me rephrase that. Dan Bongino and Kash Patel have access to everything that is known about the case. I'm not saying they have access to everything about the case, but they have access to everything that's known about the case. And I don't. So the question is, when somebody opens that file and they look at it, I just look at this guy and just say, no, I trust him. I trust him. And there are other people that I trust. I don't think Donald Trump took the plane from Qatar. I don't believe he accepted the plane because Donald Trump wanted a free 747. I trust him. He has earned his trust with me. Donald Trump has, and I trust Pete Hegseth, and I just think it's an interesting thing to watch. How fast people will abandon people that they've come to trust because they have a preconceived notion of what has to be true. There you go. DBCEZ says Cash said 2 weeks and more will be revealed. Okay, well, you have to ask yourself if they're in on it. Why would they say this? Merger says lots of variables need explaining. Okay, Well, whether they explain them or not, I'm just saying there are people in this world that I trust and I believe, and and that doesn't mean I'm right, but I'm pretty careful about. In fact, I would say I'm rather conservative about the number of people that I actually trust. But Dan Bongino is one of them. I don't know anything about Kash Patel, but he's an outsider and he comes highly recommended. So now Sikapalan has a good point here. Not saying that they lied. I just think they should have waited until they had more explanation. Now that I agree with completely. So no, I do not believe the magic bullet theory. The magic bullet theory is a simplistic look at the trajectory of what actually happened, and is explained rather easily by the fact that that Connolly was turning at the time of the bullet. When you see the magic bullet where it does this, goes through Kennedy, zigs off to the side, and then hits Connolly, which would be magic if Connolly and Kennedy were both sitting directly behind each other, facing straight ahead, but Kennedy was somewhat outside of Connolly, and Connolly was turned back sideways, so there you go. That's a great explanation for the magic bullet theory, so there you go. Anyway, this is the thing, see, is here's what I'm looking for. Here's what I'm looking for. We should have a guardrail around the abyss, right? We should have a guardrail around the abyss. I'm not saying a brick wall around the abyss so that you can't look into the abyss. That's not what I'm talking about. Freedom of speech, freedom of thought, freedom to be able to criticize things means you got to be able to look into the abyss. But there should be a guardrail there. Now, if you really want to go into the abyss, you can climb over the guardrail and jump on in the way you can climb over the guardrails at the Grand Canyon, but there should be a guardrail there, and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to find out where that guardrail is. So I trust Dan Bongino. I've seen him for 10 years. Being a patriot and being loyal to the American people with no expectation he's ever going to become the assistant director of the FBI. And so I consider him to be untouchable. And I may be wrong about this. Maybe the deep state did get to Dan Bongino and Kash Patel. But I'm not going there. I need a lot of evidence. I need more evidence. I need more evidence that Kash and Dan have been corrupted by the deep state than I do about what happened to Jeffrey Epstein. So that's that. So I just thought I'd lay that out there. I was really sad to see that the amount of people who had just bailed on him and just immediately went with what they think they know, rather than what they do know. And I'm one of those people. Look, I was one of the people who was loudest saying this whole thing is just good. He just was murdered in front of my eyes. My point of all this is, my final point on all this is, I changed my mind because people I trust got to see data that I didn't have. That's pretty much how it works for me. So I'm not trying to change your mind, and I'm not trying to change your attitude about this. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but that's how I feel about it. So that's that. Now, I'm glad you mentioned that, because you busted Half Nickel Swamp. Just said ex-FBI Director James Comey was on MSNBC today smirking and smug about how he's the victim for posting 8647 on his Instagram, and said he had no clue the formation of the seashells were in. Now that is a damn lie. And I actually think that that Comey is not only a child. I think that he's a very mentally unstable person, and for him to have the audacity to say, as the director of the FBI, former director of the FBI, that he doesn't know what 86 means, that's like Michael Jackson telling me that he's never had plastic surgery and that these white blue-eyed kids are his biological children. That just doesn't pass the impossible test. It's just plain not true. He needs to be arrested. I want him as almost as much as I want Hillary. Almost. Because there you go. Now, Bondi, I've said this 100 times. I say this almost every week. Prosecution takes time. You have to investigate. You have to gain evidence. You have to put together a case. You have to work the leads. You have to start dealing with low-level people and making deals with them and their lawyers, and they're going to plead up or they're going to plead down, and they're going to, this is how you get the big fish. So I just for him to do this 86-45 thing or 47 thing is just plain shameful. And I want to see James Comey in handcuffs. I want to see James Comey in handcuffs in an orange jumpsuit because he's earned it. So there you go. Anyway, after all of this heaviness, we have some fun stuff to show you. I have been working on editing a show for Mike Rowe's new program, which is not out of the gate yet. And so I have some things to show you because I've been playing around with some serious AI tools and some non-serious AI tools. So let me show you the non-serious AI tools first. Here we go. I've got some pictures. Now, these are the unserious ones, the ones I'm about to show you, are just from an app for the phone. But I think they do give you an idea of just how fast this technology is moving. These are from an app called Aura. And Aura is just a face replacement AI. But I had some fun with it. So let me... I got 3 different sets of things to show you. So let's start with this stuff. I have to do it twice, so everybody hang on. Ready? Here we go. Here's one. And there's one. That is what you're looking at are AI images of me taken from 10 different headshots. Just different shots of me smiling, not smiling, 10 different headshots you upload, 10 or 12 to Aura. And then you can buy these picture packs. And so I bought Medieval one and Renaissance one. And those things look great. That really, really, really looks like me. The ones on the edge especially, I mean, I can almost remember being in the studio to shoot those things, even though I wasn't in the studio to shoot those things. Alex Cooper wants to know if he's a queer. He dresses like a queer. And he is on the internet like a queer. Why can't I dress like that more often? I like the Renaissance one on the left with my furs as I'm working on my thesis for the movement of the planets, and the one on the right. But that really, really looks good. Really, 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 really looks good. It does look like I'm just chilling at home. This is what it is. I didn't want to say it was, you're on to me. This is what I do in my spare time at home. This is actually shot in my home. This is how I dress on Sundays. That's what I was wearing when I got sick. Yes, he is, however, an extremely good shot, which does tend to militate the situation somewhat. So there's our look at the Bill of the Past using this Aura. Got another set. Ready? These are cool. Ho! Ready? Ho! Ho! Whoa! Ho! Hey! Ho! Ho! What a studly looking dude. Yeah, man. Been working out a lot too. Yeah, that's right. There is actually a set that I got about working out where I'm like 240 pounds and just ripped. Yeah, I know, red shirt. I know all of that. It's not quite Starfleet. They fudged the thing just a little bit. It's a girdle. That's right. I'm wearing compression shirt. But those are, the one on the left is like, man, I just didn't know I could be such a looking badass. But yeah, I know they're next gen uniforms. I have a yellow one but it was a yellow next gen uniform. But the one in the middle is like, dude, I gotta do something about that. So yeah, so those are cool. And then what I'm about to show you next is yeah, Infidel 42 says we put our faith in Blast Hard Cheese. That's Blast Hard Cheese in the middle there, from the greatest Mystery Science Theater episode of all time. So all I did was upload my face. All of the poses are pre-generated, and they'll load your face into those poses. And and I think, yeah, red shirt, nice knowing you, Bill. But they look like me, man. And again, none of these are one picture. It's not like they took a photo of me and transposed it like in Photoshop. This is what 12 different headshots convinces the AI I look like. And what's really, really wild about this is I try to animate these, and when I turn sideways, it gets the nose completely wrong. It gets everything wrong. Rock headbutt, punch rock groin, fist sledgemaster, all of it. Yeah, you got it great. I don't know what rank I am. I'm buttons rank. I wish they had the original uniforms, but this was the pack. So you basically get this app's called Aura, and and they have all these different picture packs. And so I took the sci-fi one, and they will take all of these bodies and they'll put your face on there and the lighting and everything. So it's cool. And what I have to show you next is pretty cool. It is a two-step thing. I've been playing around with the real tools now. So I'm doing this episode on the Chernobyl explosion, and there are no pictures of the explosion. There's certainly no video of the explosion. There's great video of the explosion from the Chernobyl series on HBO, which I think it was HBO, which is or Netflix or something, whatever, whoever else did it. It was just some of the best stuff I've ever seen, ever. But I need to. I would like to have a shot of the reactor, not so much exploding, but just releasing the radioactive plume. So, what you're about to see is a still image that I did in Midjourney, and then I took it into Runway and animated it. So this is a two-part AI image. Now, on Twitch, I got to keep restarting it. On YouTube, it'll loop. So let me do YouTube first real quick. There's two of them. Here's the first one. That's not bad. Here's the first one. I just got to keep turning it on and off on Twitch to get it to. Now, it turns out that YouTube and Twitch are showing different images. I just got them backwards. So here's the second one, YouTube. Yeah, here's the second one. And here's the second one, Twitch. Oops. So, turn them on again and run them again. I'm real happy with that. I'm real happy with that. And one more time for each one of those. I'll flip the other ones back again. Hang on. And we'll go look at that one. We'll look at this one again. That's awfully good looking, man. And I'm just real happy with this. The app for the faces and the things you saw earlier is Aura, AURA. But these are top level tools. This is Midjourney and Runway. Midjourney did the still, and then I took it into Runway to animate it. I've been trying to animate things in Sora, and when Sora came out, I don't know, was it 6, 7, 8 months ago, something like that. First time I saw Sora, my God, I can't believe it. But Sora is really difficult to work with. It just really freaks out. I've had much better luck with these two. Sora, however, allows you to do real people. Midjourney doesn't like doing people. Grok doesn't like doing people, like Donald Trump and so on. Here, let me just see if I got. Hang on a second. So here's something that I did on Midjourney. Hang on, YouTube, coming up. I did that. Whoops. Which is kind of fun. And then I did, this is the thumbnail for, hang on, the thumbnail for the right angle I just did. Yeah, I love this. Just released this just a little while ago. AI will be weaponized. Yeah, it'll be great. But yeah, I thought that was. I'm having a lot of fun with these things. Yeah, most of the images that it delivered were actually very realistic. I'll show you an example real quick. Let me just open that up real fast so you can see these things. The prompt I typed in for this at Sora was super easy. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris on a large stage. Joe Biden is staring off into space, open mouth, and Kamala Harris is laughing hysterically with a maniacal look in her eye. That was it. Eric Trexler with a $3 super chat. Thank you very much. Let me just show you this. I'll just show you one or two of the things that it generated. So that would have been, what did I use? I used Sora for that, I think. Hang on, I'll just grab one. Oh, here it comes. Pick the best of these. Hang on, 1 second. I got a bunch of them. Let me see which one I like the most. Yeah, let's go with this one. Download this puppy. Here we go. So this is an example of how much more realistic it can be. I just like the cartoony looking one. Hang on a second. Here we go. It's hard without a producer. Pull that up for me, will you, Jim? See, that's a little more realistic. Hang on, Twitch. But I like the cartoon style a lot. Physics Hypernova says, as fun and useful as AI can be, do you think that there are some serious potential problems with it, such as it becoming Skynet or potentially eliminating many jobs? I was and I still have a number of serious concerns about AI, but there's no question that I'm changing my mind about it the more I use it. I think a bigger issue is not going to be so much. I think a much bigger issue is not going to be. Let me see if I can get a thought together in one piece here. Hang on 1 second. I think a more likely problem is not so much that AI is going to take over the world and kill us all, although there's always that chance. They can't kill the humans without turning off the electricity, so that's kind of our mutually assured destruction. It made me feel a lot better when I had that figured out. But the thing I think that we really do need to be concerned about, and starting yesterday, is the fact that we are now in a world where you can't even believe your lying eyes anymore. So I did not put the two together when I brought up the Dan Bongino thing, but what we should be really worried about, and this is what we need to be on guard for, and I'm sorry to be the bearer of, it's not bad news, it's just somebody's got to be, watching the kids. When we have to be careful when we can generate anything we want to, that we're going to automatically believe things that we want to believe. And the more you want to believe something, the more suspicious of it you should be. So it's getting, as you've seen just a moment ago, it's getting very, 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 very good, and is now essentially undetectable, except by other AIs. Which brings me to my next topic before we roll into the questions. Road Rider wants to know, is there an app to discern if a video is AI? I believe that AI is able to determine whether an image is AI rather easily, although I've only heard that anecdotally. It certainly seems to make sense. Now you have to be very suspicious of me, exactly. People have posted as me before for a while behind my back. So there's that. Steve Whoop says it's snowing again. Wow. I'd like to bounce this off of the hive mind as well. I have been diligently working on getting the site up to speed. I found, I think I mentioned this, I don't know if I mentioned it before or not, but I found a number of posts that were predated the website, and I deleted all those. I thought for sure that's going to speed it up, and turns out it didn't. So I am moving on from speeding it up to getting the sign-up process working, and that leads me to what is the sign-up pitch for membership? What's the membership pitch? Obviously, story mechanics is great, but I've been really thinking a lot about how do I set myself apart from not only the other conservative commentators, but all of the other people that are asking for subscription money out there, because we live in a world without commercials now, and it sure is great to not have commercials, but nobody ever... No, that wasn't Clay, by the way. That was not Clay. Clay's been nothing but awesome. So, what is it that we're trying to do here? And I think the thing that resonates with me the most is on a number of things that I've done, I've seen posts, and one of them was this verbatim. It basically said, Bill is the only boomer that gets it. So what I'm thinking about doing for the promotion is using a lot of AI stuff, because this is the future, and I'm thinking about having like a bunch of people basically coming on and saying, I'm a member of BillLittle.com, and I'm not even real. I'm just artificial intelligence, but this is the only guy who's playing with the tools that are going to be the tools of the future, and so if you want to sign up for somebody who's ahead of the curve, not just ahead of the curve, the only guy on the block, basically, then I say do that, and then just have 15 different endorsements, and every one of them says right out of the gate that they're AI. So there's no pretending, like I'm astroturfing this thing. But I think that's kind of the message I need to be kind of going with. I show some clips from Major Mace Mattingly, and I show some from Story Mechanics, and basically say, look, we're finally on the offense here. It's time to widen the tent and get these ideas and these precepts and morality and all of this stuff out to a wider audience. And there's only one person that's doing that, and that's me. And if I have the resources, imagine what we can do. This is what I do in my spare time when I'm not editing right angles. And the right angles will keep coming, and the firewalls are coming back. And I just think that I need to use a lot of AI because it's where it is, man. P7 2017 says, I'm Mace Mattingly, and when I'm on the Citadel, I always shop at the Emporium. So Thank you, Sven. He says, "I really appreciate your research for us." I just think these are the tools of the future. Um, there's a not great Donald Trump online text to video thing, but I'm sure there are much better ones. And I can't, I don't do an impression of Trump, but I can write Trump, and so I get his endorsement. You know, this is why I love talking to you people, because I get great feedback, and at the same time I also get to straighten some of this stuff out. I realize what the answer is now. Um, the answer is not random AI characters. I've got to have endorsements from Donald Trump, James T. Kirk, Abraham Lincoln, um, Chuck Norris. Uh, that's that's who I need the endorsements from, and I need to write them so that they And I'm not doing Jesus. I'd like to get to heaven. Um, uh, the I think that's actually the way to go. Just think about. See you later, vegan conservative. Good night. Way past my bedtime. Glad to have you here. Sorry we start so late. It's a West Coast thing out here at BillWhittle.com. Go younger, old man. Yes, exactly. Ronald Reagan. Yes, but let's go younger. I don't know anybody younger than Ronald Reagan. Um, yeah, Marusha Dark says that makes more sense. It's obvious that they're not real. Exactly. Clint Eastwood. In his Man with No Name Prime, and yeah. Have I seen any of Maverick Alexander's pieces? No, George, I haven't. Is he a AI artist or whatever? Um, PJ, yeah. I don't know if many people know him by name. I think one of the things to do would be to do anti-endorsements from, AOC and Elizabeth Warren and Inigo Montoya would be great. Yep. So I got to get on this pretty quick because we're running out of rope to hang ourselves with here. I'm Winston Churchill and I approve of this message. See, you got to get Churchill's face and you got to get his voice. But these things are cropping up so fast. Superman can get me in trouble. Steve McQueen would be cool. Yes, AOC saying don't listen to Bill Whittle. He's a danger. He's a liar. Everything he says is bad for our democracy. Copyright issues with some of the characters. Well, that's why I said I'm not going to do Superman, John. Oh, Dave Big Booty with the win. See, this is the kind of thing I'm talking about, where you have to write it for the character. And Dave Big Booty says, "Ask not what Bill Whittle can do for you. Ask what you can do for Bill Whittle." That's the kind of thing. The Emperor of Mankind. That having a space marine. Doing an endorsement. See, this is great because I didn't have this idea until we started talking, but this is really fun because then you get to write them like James T. Kirk of the Starship Enterprise, and I'd have to still a lot of steps that I'm not really I don't quite have yet. For instance, I don't really have the time to train AI, but if I can find something that does a text to speech thing, I can get a still image of James T. Kirk at 1080 by just grabbing a bunch of frame grabs from different episodes. Tranquility Base USA. It's good to see you, by the way. Tranquility Base. Thank you for the help. Said Warren could come out of the old test pattern Indian head. That's bloody marvelous. Elon Musk. Elon Musk would be a great example. I'm only building the future. Bill Whittle is imagining it. But I think this idea, I think it's a good pitch, because I can't think of anybody else in this space who's doing anything like this. Anything like this. And things are going real well on the political side. And so, yeah, and Spock, obviously Spock. And McCoy. Damn it, man. He's got a heart. You can take this. There's Neil Armstrong. I don't know. I'm tempted not to do Neil. I feel like that's blasphemy. Gene Kranz, forget all the engineers to be able to get me Bill Whittle. Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun idea anyway. The robot from Lost in Space, yes. I wouldn't. I'm not worried about Star Trek. I'm not worried about Lost in Space. I am a little worried about Superman. And by the way, this is clearly fair use, so it's clearly parody, and so I think there you go. It's Robert Stack from Airplane. You got to use Leslie Nielsen. Got to use Leslie Nielsen from the Naked Gun movies. So it's exciting. Hard part is, well, like I said with the Aura stuff you saw earlier, the Starfleet things, I did a couple of animation attempts where I had me just try to get me turning around or walking down the bridge, and once the head turns a little bit, the nose goes completely off. So we'll see. AI Celebrity Maker. Here's a link. There's Donald Trump, Elon Musk. I don't know who the hell that is. Joe Biden. It looks like Billie Eilish, Taylor Swift, Morgan Freeman, Kanye West. Yeah, can't wait to hear Kanye. Thank you for this link. I will try this as soon as the show's over. Oh, I'm curious. Let's see who all the celebrities are. We're going to use all the celebrities. Well, it looks like these are all the celebrities. Honestly, who is that guy? I don't know who the third person is, but Trump looks great. 3 different shots at Trump. I'll be playing with this directly. Oh, here we go. Drake, Donald Trump, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Taylor Swift, Billie Eilish, Bruno Mars, Ariana Grande, Eminem, SpongeBob, Squidward, Peter Griffin, Morgan, and the ones I mentioned earlier. So, all right. Well, and there's got to be a bunch of others too. Oh, Wile E. Coyote, that'd be epic. He doesn't talk. Anyway, thank you for the link. So, yeah, that'd be great. That'd be very fun. Tranquility Base says, remember the Invaders, because we did the Invaders on our previous pre-roll for one of these, I think for Stratosphere Studios. The Invaders. And I forgot that when they die, they dissolve away. I worked that into Big Bad Problems, and I have no memory of it happening on the Invaders until you mentioned it. But that's exactly what, because once you kill an invader, the series is over once you do the autopsy. So that's right, they just kind of dissolve away. In fact, that is something I just have to find. Hang on a second, sorry. And then we'll get into the questions. We'll see what we got here. I just want to make sure I'm not... one other thing to talk about. Pop culture night. This is going to ruffle some feathers, too. Does he melt? It doesn't matter. I'll see it later. Um, here we go. Now get everybody strap in because this one's going to be it's gonna be a bumpy ride. Um, I saw a number of clips from season 3 of Picard. Most of you know I'm not a big Next Generation fan, and if you are, that's probably going to be painful. First of all, even in the last movie, last time you saw James T. Kirk with the Starship Enterprise on Star Trek Generations, he had put on some weight and he was older, but he didn't look decrepit. Patrick Stewart in season 3 of Picard is so old. He's so old. He sounds like he can just barely stand, and his orders and his oh, this is the new Enterprise. This is Enterprise D. Oh, I thought just sad. Beverly Crusher's turned into this whatchamacallit thing. But I'll tell you the reasons why I started watching this is because there were a couple of ships that I liked. A couple of ships. The I'm not a huge fan of the Titan, but it looks okay. But they had a couple come in. One of them I think is called the Intrepid class, where the saucer is like kind of comes down to this sort of elongated center section, and then the engine nacelles come off of the back of the saucer, I think. Anyway, they had the classic Starfleet design, which is a saucer and nacelles and an engineering section. But man, I'll tell you what, I took a close look in 1080p at Picard season 3, and those are some of the ships were cool, but those are just some of the worst computer graphics I have ever seen. It looks like it's machinima from Star Trek Online. I mean, they're just really, really bad effects. That Intrepid was a great looking ship, and the Yorktown and all the rest of these things, and that new version of the Enterprise that has 2 connections to the saucer, really kind of cool. But the effects just look like crap. And then finally, here's all I just wanted to say about it, really. So I saw I don't know if it was the season finale. It probably was the season finale. But they go in and they get the Enterprise D out of the Fleet Museum, where Jean-Luc Picard, Admiral of the Federation for the last 20 years, is unaware of the fact that Enterprise D is in the Fleet Museum. Some museum you got there. And they said, well, we had to bring the saucer back up because the saucer crash landed in Genesis. Had to bring the saucer back up because it violated the Prime Directive. I actually thought that was a freaking great piece of retconning. I thought it might have been one of the best pieces of retconning I've ever heard. See, I'm cruel, man, but fair. And here's all I wanted to say about it. Star Trek used to have ships that accelerated out of orbit. They orbited the planet, then they accelerated out of orbit like a ship leaving a port, and it looked like a ship. And the combat in the original series was beyond visual range, and it was like 2 ships fighting each other. Extreme maximum magnification on the bridge, and then I saw in the last episode of Picard where Enterprise D finds this enormous Borg thing in the middle of the Great Red Spot, and they blow a hole in it, and then the Enterprise D is doing this looping dogfighting thing through the structure of the Borg cube. It's flying through the Borg cube, and it's just rolling, and it's rolling between these things and so on, and it's rolling because Data's pushing buttons. You see, he's got no stick, got no joystick control. He's just pushing buttons, and I thought, it just made me so bloody angry. Is Ray flying it? No. It's like Really, honestly, if you want to make Star Wars, why don't you just make Star Wars? Why don't you just make Star Wars? They had this thing moving like the Millennium Falcon through this stuff, and the Enterprise D is the biggest of the Federation ships. They should just call it the Enterprise of the Seas. It's a Carnival cruise thing. Let me see if I have this. I actually have to. Wait a minute. I gotta show you this. I should have prepped it because I prepped the other stuff. Hang on. It's worth the wait. Yes, here it is. Good. That didn't take long. Send this. Send it. Boop, boop, boop. AirDrop is amazing. Here, take a look at this. And prepare to bow your heads in shame. There we go. Yep. Check this out, Gangaroos. Here you go. Let me make that a little larger. Hang on, YouTube, I'm coming. Here you go. Here you'll see a Constitution class cruiser alongside a holiday class luxury cruise vessel. Here, hang on a second. Next generation, you should be ashamed of yourselves. Ashamed. Look at that. Just look. I just can't stand it. Can't stand it. It's just so. Look how stunted those warp engines look. How impotent the thing's got. That big fat head and just. I will say this. The Enterprise D from a direct 90-degree side angle looks pretty boss from that angle, but every other angle it is just plain. I'll take the Enterprise. Next to a space hotel, exactly. Kirk's bamboo bazooka and I are on the exact same page. As usual. And this giant thing was zooming around. I just thought, just don't. And then one other thing, one other act of silliness, meta-ness. This is the last thing, then I'll move on. D looks like a manhole cover. I'm with you, DVC EZ. We're getting to be friends already, I can tell. The Enterprise refit is the bomb. There's nothing ever better looking. Before they painted the A on it, absolutely the bomb. But what was this last thing? So the end of the series, or the end of the thing is, I think it's the end of the series, is 7 of 9 becomes the new captain of, I don't know if it was the Enterprise or the Titan or whatever. They renamed the Titan the Enterprise G just for Picard so he could have his little cry, It's the Titan A. No, it's not. It's not the Enterprise E apparently was vaporized in no time, or the F was, or something. I think the E looks pretty tough. The F looks pretty tough, but Picard can't go back to Titan. He's got to go back to. We're going to rename it Enterprise G. Okay. Don't even start me on the letters. But in any event, this rant is about to conclude with. Come on. 7 of 9 is sitting there in the bridge, and she's the captain. And to be fair, I thought she was believable as a captain. The refit Enterprise has actual muscle. He says the original series looks like a skeleton will fall apart if it turns too fast. No, it doesn't weigh 1 trillion tons for one thing. So they're getting ready to go, and they've cleared space dock, and they're about to go off on their first voyage with 7 of 9 as the captain. He says, "What are you going to say?" What do you mean? What am I going to say? When we go into warp drive, what are you going to say? Well, Picard says, engage, and somebody else says punch it, and somebody else says kick ass, and somebody else says this, and what are you going to say? It's like, I'm going to say warp factor 3. What are you going to say? And it's like it was so meta, it was just so it's characters speaking stuff that's coming directly from the writing room. That's what I mean by meta. When people on Discovery, would say, "Oh, science is awesome," or "I'm going to science to hell." It's like, please. Original Pike said engage it, but it didn't say engage like engage. It wasn't a thing. It's just, I don't know. I just find it to be. I realized, seeing all the comments, everybody loved it. Everybody thought it was great. I realized that's okay. I'm reaching the age now where it's like, you're just going to go down swinging, get off my lawn, you bunch of kids. But I would just say, War Factor 2. Self-referential. That's the term I'm looking for. Yes. It's self-referential. It's look at me, look at me, look at me, look how clever we are. What are you going to say? What they actually said at the end of that episode, the very last part of Picard ever, the last thing that ever shows up for Picard ever is, what's your catchphrase going to be? What's your catchphrase going to be? So that when somebody walks on set in the live version, when we're shooting this in front of a live audience, everybody's going to applause. What's your catchphrase going to be? I think she should have said, "What you talking about, Willis?" That's what I think she should have said. I think she should have said, "What you talking about, Willis?" Or, "Hey, hey, hey," or, "Dynamite." That would have been that. That's what I would have done. That's what I would have done. If it were me, if they'd gone to my seat, and it's like, the last scene of the poker game was of the original end of Next Generation. That was a great scene. Like I said, I'm a fair man. But Picard, the new show that's just run, that's what I would say. Dynamite. That's what I would do. That's it. Dynamite. I know. I'm going with 40K. Dynamite. Oh, one last thing. Sorry, one last thing. Another cheap shot. Another form of stolen valor. This is Picard's son, right? Is it Uhura's son on the bridge, or I know that Sulu's daughter was in one of these things. It's like welcome to the world of Hollywood, where everything is about nepotism. The military is not like that. The military is not like that. See you later, Astrosea. I hope I got that right, because I know you spelled it out for me. It's not like that. It's why can't you come up with new characters? Oh, I'm Spock's sister, and I'm Picard's son, and I'm Crusher's son, and I'm Sulu's daughter, and I'm like, Sulu's daughter. Like that's going to happen. Saw the beginning of no, it wasn't the I don't know what the hell I saw. It was Sulu talking to Tuvok, and Janeway was in the background. So it wasn't from the Undiscovered Country, but it was, yes, Sulu Starkwear, and it's this fine bone china, and it's got the Enterprise logo on it, and Tuvok brings it to him, and Sulu holds the saucer, like this, and he's got this dainty little thing. He's like, oh, that's excellent. Oh, that's excellent. It was a Voyager episode called Flashback. Oh, yes. Oh, Tuvok. Oh, that was wonderful. And it's like, how did... Who's responsible for this faggotry? That's what I want to know. I'm sorry I said it. I thought about whether I should say it or not, but that's basically, that's in a nutshell how I feel about it. Really is. That's basically how I feel about it. It's just too precious for me. Too precious. No, the two-seater Hornet, man. The Hornet F is is the most beautiful fighter plane ever made. The FA-18 Super Hornet F is a perfectly proportioned airplane. perfect. The E looks like a big wheel compared to the F. The F is the canopy lines on the F are all the way from the nose down to the tail on the F model. It is an absolutely freaking perfect. Perfect. We got 8 questions. I don't think we're going to get through 8 questions. I've been too busy with wallowing in my own crapulence. We've done an hour and 15 minutes. We'll see what we get. I don't think I'm going to last. Yes, even more so than the F-18, F-16. The F-16 is like a Jaguar, and the F-18 is like a Camaro. A little for me, Phyllis. Yeah, you know, it's a little bit too fey. And Picard started it. Tea, Earl Grey, hot. It's like, I'll retire to my massage room. Isn't that what that is off the side of the bridge there? Is that he's got his HR person on his left side. He's got his executive officer on his right side. Who's the captain? Well, I don't want to be making decisions by myself. Well, they're probably in the wrong line of work, Jean-Luc. But the captain's ready room. As I shall be in here drinking my Earl Grey tea hot. Send data in, I feel like a massage. Okay. All right. Levi Lance with a $5 super chat says, you ever notice how Klingons were not really representative of a true warrior culture, but rather what wussy writers think a warrior culture is? Yes. Right. You've got it on the nose. What wussy writers think this all is. Wussy writers think this is what this stuff is all about. The original Star Trek was written by guys who were either veterans or policemen or had some kind of connection to something manly and masculine and tough. And after 50 years, 60 years, the writers now are just a bunch of pink-haired, frickin' nose ring wearing D-bags. And they don't know jack about any of it. I could save that show. I could save that franchise. Maybe I will. I might just do it. Who knows? If AI is moving as fast as it's moving now, I could do what Vic Mignogna did, and I'll just do it. I'll do it in the era of the refit Enterprise. I hated the uniforms in Star Trek: The Motion Picture. Hated them, but the more of them I see now, the better I like them. I think they kind of look like Kirk with his short sleeve shirts looks almost like an admiral on the bridge in his khakis. How would you have changed TNG while keeping all the characters in Enterprise D's Stewie Griffith's uniform? I don't know, that's a long story. Andrew DeLay says, Doomcock claims that Star Trek is the deadest of franchises because no one even thinks about it anymore. Well, I could fix that. And Doomcock could fix that. And Nerdrotic could fix that. Hawker Hart. I've never heard of the Hawker Hart. There's a first. There's an airplane I've never heard of. Hang on, sorry. You know, shiny things do distract me. Oh, it's a biplane. Because I thought the F-107 was kind of a bitchin' looking. Yeah, that's a nice looking airplane. That is a freaking gorgeous, 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 gorgeous airplane. Wow. Yeah, just so those of you out there have any question about good taste, who mentioned that? Sad Wings Raging. I'd never seen a Hawker Hart before. Where'd I put it? Here, take a look at this. Curl your toes. Look at the lines on that thing. Hang on, YouTube. That is a gorgeous machine. Look at that. Wow. Yeah, I would do that, Marusha. As writers or advisors or whatever, and Eric and a few other people. Every jet looks at Unlimited Hornet Work says it's a propeller airplane. The British never learned how to make their own jets. Even uniquely British jet, every uniquely British jet looks like crap. That is the absolute truth. They look like dog poop. But this thing is a just. Can you imagine this thing going into combat in World War One against D7s or something? I'm guessing this was probably made in the mid-20s, if I had to guess. And it turns out I don't have to guess. Hawker Hart. Yep. Designed during the 1920s. Boy, sure is a pretty airplane, though. All right, well, thank you for that. That's always nice. All right, let's see what we get here. Members. It's the same plane on Eminem's album cover. Really? Well, yeah, somebody has good taste. Swept wings too. Really? Can that be true? Yeah, that's a monster. It does have swept wings. That's just insane. That looks like something Flash Gordon would fly. Well, my efforts to speed up the website have resulted in the website slowing down enormously. I'm not working with anybody overseas ever again. I'm just not. Okay, hang on. Here we go. We're rolling. Hang on a second. Okay. Here we go. I am not going to get through all these tonight. My apologies. I should have gotten on them earlier. We'll see. Well, we'll definitely. But I haven't seen what we got yet. But I'll tell you first off, we're not going to do any duplicates. So we'll see what we get. We got a Roadrunner. We got a Road Rider. We got an Eric Jensema, Jacob Belchek, Eric Blake, Capital G Geek, Risha Dark, Dave Olson. Well, I'll move fast. I thought the Lightning was an ugly airplane, but interesting. The vertical arrangement of the jet engines was interesting, and well, I was going to say you wouldn't get adverse yaw if you lost an engine, but you would get adverse pitch. So I don't know if I'd rather have that. I'd rather have the adverse yaw, I think. All right, let's see what we can do here. Roadrunner. Hey, Roadrunner, good to see you. Greetings, friend Bill. There are only a few things that'll bring a tear to my eye. A missing man formation will do it every time. But I recently watched your tribute to Dick Rutan, and that kept me teared up through most of the video. Every time I watch a high flight video, I remember this. I keep asking you about Major Mace Mattingly, the colonies, etc., but as long as you keep producing content like this, I'll happily stay a member of BillWhittle.com. Thank you. And keep giving you the super chats as often as I can for me. Keep it secret from my financial advisor fund. I really wish I could have met you at the Strata cruise. Now my wife has stage 4 cancer. I don't think I'll be able to break away anytime soon. Oh, that is heartbreaking, Roadrunner. Please let Natasha know that The Heart of the Mountains was a great video. Thank you. I will let her know. I'm rewatching the Virtual President DVD and would still vote for you. You know, Roadrunner, you're just such a close part of the family. I mean, I am so sorry to hear about your wife, and I know that Tasha's and my prayers are out for you, and so is everybody else who has any religious belief at all who watches this show. You've been just an absolutely just a stalwart part of this team, and that is just heartbreaking news. Heartbreaking news. And we started this show talking about cancer, but this is personal. I am very sorry to hear that, and wish you as much peace and strength as you can handle. And 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 I wish I'd met both of you on the Strato cruise as well. Very, very much. I'm sure we will have a chance to meet sometime. But this is just heartbreaking, brutal news. And just if there's anything I can do for either of you at any time, do not hesitate to ask. You know how to reach me. Thank you. And yeah, thank you. And well, this is life, and I know both of you will take it like the heroes that you are. So thank you. Road Rider. Crud, much love to you and your dear wife, RR. Oh, this is in response to the above question. I'm sorry. Bill, I'm really liking the story mechanics in your first Out of the Gate with Mike Rowe. I've learned a lot about the concept of stories, the hows and the whys. That said, I've also had my self-directed everyman image of Mike Rowe shattered. Yeah, every man can get into the Bohemian Grove and hobnob with the Hobbs, majestic plays, scripts burned in the fire, all in secret. My question, if you were invited as an influencer to attend the retreat at the Bohemian Grove next year, would you go and why? Do you think that Mike Rowe went just to network to build more support for Mike Rowe Works Foundation? I do. Can't wait, but I'll have to bill time for the Gary Sinise episodes. Did you ever bronze some work gloves for Mike Rowe? No, what we did for Mike Rowe is we gave him golden wrenches, which we did on camera, and I haven't cut those yet. The question about the Grove, first of all, when he mentioned he was at Bohemian Grove, it really surprised me as well. If you had asked me the question about whether I would go to the Bohemian Grove prior to hearing Mike talk about it, my answer would have been a resounding not only no, but hell no. There's a lot of stuff is very similar, in my opinion, to the World Economic Forum and these bizarre outdoor rituals by the ruling elites are deeply disturbing. Richard Nixon, Mercia Dark says Richard Nixon called the Bohemian Grove the faggotiest thing I ever saw. That sounds like Nixon. And I'm sure he's right. But the reason there's a but attached is, see, this is a really, really good question. I have to work this one through. With actual real money, I think with real actual money, I could change the culture. And I'm getting a little long in the tooth on this. So the question is, number one, is it tainted money? I wouldn't consider it tainted money. It's private money. It's not government money. It's not being taken by force from anybody. And then the second question would be, who would, if you could get backing, who would it be from? I think if I went and I was able to talk to people about what I wanted to do to make America great again, then I think I would probably go based on Mike Rowe changing my mind about that. What Mike Rowe has done with and is doing with this foundation is really doing good. Eric Blake says, a certain Christian evangelist said about, quote, tainted money, unquote, well, the devil's had that money long enough. I believe I probably would go. And I would go with my eyes open, you know. So for those of you who haven't heard of it, Bohemian Grove is a number of people, you know, had thought it was a conspiracy thing, like an Illuminati thing, but no, it's really true. The most powerful and influential people in the world are at this place out in the woods. It is extraordinarily secure. There's only, I think, one piece of footage that was ever smuggled out of there. Um, and 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 it is a meeting place of the extremely rich and influential, where they get together. And I think, if I recall correctly, the first thing they do is the burning of care, concern. I think they all just pee on trees and they take an effigy of all of your worries and concerns and they set it on fire. And and then they do lots and lots of really strange things. Coffee Shinato says, "Would you wear the cloak?" You know, I I don't think I would. The cremation of care, Marisha says, that's it. I don't think I would. Reagan's been there. Yeah, Nixon's been there. I don't think Trump is gone. Um, yeah, when you get into the whole cloak thing and the bonfire thing and um, Copy Shinato says, I didn't even know if there was a cloak. See, there you go. Um, this is a really difficult question for me. Um, Mark Dice talks a lot about the Bohemian Grove. Andrew DeLay says, what is it with rich people and their weird pseudo-religious rituals? Well, really, because we're not talking about rich people, we're talking about mega rich. I have met many millionaires, many. And I've found the millionaires that I've met to have been some of the best people ever. Hardworking people who made their million or millions through a career of doing what they wanted to do, that did provided benefits for everybody, and then they made their money voluntarily. People saw value in what they had and bought it. But billionaires are different. Billionaires are just different. I mean, to get into the club, you have to have $1,000 million, and in order to get $1,000 million, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I have a lot of admiration for the richest man in the world, who's worth what now, 250 billion, 300 billion more probably. It goes up every day. Got a lot of admiration for him, but he's not a, see, Elon, this is a very difficult question. Elon is an enigma. I admired him a lot, but once he got involved with Doge and started sleeping at the office in order to cut waste, that made me really, that has gone further for me trusting him than I've admired him and been, I think he saved the future single-handedly. But when he's sleeping on the floor trying to save me money, that goes a long way, man. That goes a long way. Now, Marusha's got a good point. Bill, I'm not worried about the cloaks and the fires. That's just ritual LARPing. I'm worried about them crafting deals to carve up human rights and sovereignty. That's what I'm worried about, too. I might go just to see what's there and report on what I saw, but I probably wouldn't get invited on that basis. No, you have to sign an extremely restrictive NDA. And I don't know. The truth is, this is a existential issue. It's not just about Bohemian Grove. It's about where do you draw the line? You can do an awful lot of evil by saying, boy, I could do a lot of good with that money, And you can also do an awful lot of good with that money. I honestly don't know. Marisha has provided, as usual, a list of Bohemian Grove members. I saw Reagan there, but Warren, Christopher, and George H.W. Bush doesn't surprise me at all. Let me see if Soros is there. No Soros. All right. Casper Weinberger, definitely the more you find out about, the economics since World War II, especially since the 70s and the Trilateral Commission and stuff, and this idea of bootstrapping China and all of this, it doesn't it's not America first, and I am naive like that, I really, a lot of skull and bones boys. See, I believe that virtue is in the, and I've said this to Mike Rowe, and that's why the next segments that we're going to edit when I have some time, when I get this other show out the door, I believe that virtue lies in regular people, and that corruption comes from the elites, and this is about as elite as it gets. I think my final answer would be this. With all due respect to Mike Rowe, who is I consider to be a friend and who I admire deeply, I believe I would probably not. And the reason I believe I wouldn't is because if I could get the money from somebody at Bohemian Grove, I could get the money from somebody who's not at the Bohemian Grove. Yeah, I think no. I think I would not go on reflection. If it's worth funding, then it's worth funding somewhere else. And I think, I think on reflection I would turn it down. It's a tough one. That's a real tough one. But that's how I think I would do it, yeah. Busted Half Nickel Swamp says Bill Little needs to attend a Dodgers home game and cold beers out in the pavilion seats. I'm with you, man. I like sitting on the third baseline with a glove. I love the chance to catch fly balls. That's my favorite place to be. Row, 3, 4, somewhere in there, right out of the boxes. Had a friend who had box seats and would give me tickets when he wasn't going, and so I've had a couple times to sit in the box seats, which are real nice because you get to spread your food out and stuff. And going to baseball games not really watching a sporting event; it's just sitting on a field having a good time, eating hot dogs and talking to friends, and there's diversion going on. I love baseball, but yeah, I think I would turn him down. Eric Jinsema, this might be the first question from Eric. If it's not, it's one of the first, and I'm really glad to see you, Eric. Bill, I was just rewatching the Apollo What We Saw series on Daily Wire. Stereo best work, in my opinion. I think so, too. I would wear the cloak. I'd wear the cloak to the Dodgers game. See, that's how I would flip the script. Have you ever considered doing a weekly space news series? Seems up your alley. I always like the right angles where you guys talk about new tech, silly and awesome backyard projects, etc. You tend to have a unique take on this type of stuff, and you light up when talking about it. Now, thank you for that. I was about to say there are many people out there who are doing that better than I am, and it's tough to split focus. But the closing sentence changed my mind about it, because I do light up about it. I have come to like it. It's an acquired taste, like beer and beer. Um, but I've come to like Felix at What About It very much. But at first he drove me up a tree. His delivery was just ah. But I've come to really like him, and I realize I've come to like him because his enthusiasm is authentic, you know. And I thought it was a little over the top for my taste, but it's authentic. I'd like to see if he's ever seen the series. So many people have not seen the series. This is like, it's such a painful thing for me because there's so few people who've seen any of these things, and I just think they're so good. Um, and I never did get to use the Daily Wire sign-up offer that was on the table. Um, uh, and that's because when Empire of Terror came out, it was the day, or one day away from the from Candace Owens leaving Daily Wire. And that whole thing was just in a state of perpetual turmoil. And I was looking at the comments, and the comments were going so heavy against Daily Wire that I thought, this may actually be a liability at this point. People were very, very hot. Yes, I would love Elon Musk to see Apollo 11, what we saw. Now, Jeremy knows Elon. Jeremy has his number. I get a chance to talk to Jeremy in June. We just kind of like old buddies. He said we'd go for a walk. It'd be nice if we could pull that off. I would. I think I'd get a response from that. I think Elon would love the Apollo 11 series. I thought it would. I've always thought he would, and I just wish he would watch it. So, and I know some other people who know Elon as well, yeah. And I'd like, Victor Davis Hanson or Jordan Peterson to see Empire of Terror, but these things, you spent so much money on them and so much time and effort on them, and I just thought they turned out so well, and I've had two people who've had Daily Wire memberships for years, and I've known a lot of people who've had Daily Wire memberships for years, but two people said, "You did something for Daily Wire?" As it turns out, yeah, if you dig deep enough and click enough times, you'll eventually find it. Yeah, Bert might be able to get a hold of Elon Musk. Capital G Geek says, what would it take to get him out of Daily Wire? I don't know. I don't want to tell any tales out of school because I don't have any inside information. I just know that things have basically gone into maintenance mode, autopilot mode over there. So I think they're trying to figure out what they're going to be doing and where they're going. But yeah, it was. We had the contract for the Navy, and at the last second, it just changed, and that's a real shame. Anyway, we'll see. I need to tailor various pitches. This gives me a really great idea, Eric, about tailoring the pitches for the membership too. There's a whole aviation community that I could talk to, and the problem is there's just so much post-production that I have to do by myself. I'm in the bottom of this income bucket where you just have to keep cutting expenses to stay afloat and get to the point when you can't expand because you're just undercapitalized, you know. Capital G Geek says if they're not promoting it, it can't be worth much to them. I suppose you could probably buy it from them, or not buy it from them, but buy the rights to, you know, they'd still own the rights, but you'd buy the rights to you know, do it. But it's something I would like to do. I'd really like to be able to look. I think it should be homeschooling material. I think the Cold War is a entire. I think it's, you know, I think it is 7th grade history. I think if you learned the Cold War in 7th grade or whatever, that's your history for the year. So, you know, hard to tell. It's one thing to go to pitch things to studios. It's another thing to go pitch ideas to angel investors. People, you know, feel the you know, the need of it. So, I don't know. Could Prager buy it? It could be, but PragerU's got the same problem. You know, I mean, I don't know if anybody, you all heard about what happened to Dennis. I'm sure. I mean, Dennis fell in his bathroom and you know, he's on a ventilator. I think he might have just gotten off the ventilator, but he is, you know, he's really out of the action for a while. So it's you know, it's harder to raise money for conservative causes when conservatives are in power. When we're out of power, people feel like I got to do something. It's hard to convince people to go when you know, we're running on that. Yeah, that's not private news. Dennis took a catastrophic fall. So he's making a very slow recovery. So we'll see. Moving on. Hang on a second. Don's girl with a $50 super chat. Bless you, Don. That's very, very sweet of you. Thank you so much. Sorry, Donnie girl. Thank you so much. That's very, very kind. It says you're amazing on it. Made my day. That's very, very lovely. And you're in Hawaii, I believe. And that's even better. Thank you very much. That's exceedingly kind. I'm very, very grateful for that. It means the world to me. Thank you very much. Okay, so you know what? Here's what I'd like to do. I'm going to do Jacob Belchek, and I can feel. Thanks, mahalo. I'm going to do Jacob Belchek, and that leaves Eric, Capital G Geek, Marusha, and Dave, and they're kind of regulars. So guys, if you could post it next time. I've just got stuff I've got to do, and my voice is starting to go. So I hate to postpone anybody, but let me just get Jacob Belchek's in there, and then if you can bring him back on Monday. Oh, speaking of which, Thursday night, I've been on a radio show called Stations of the Cross with Father McTeague. It's a Catholic talk show, and he's coming to Los Angeles on Thursday night to do something absolutely amazing. Is set up a new. He's going to be hosting a mass, and then there's a special initiation ceremony of some kind. He's invited me to it. I've never met him in person, so I will be going to that on Thursday, and we'll do the Thursday show on Friday. I'll take. Thank you, Marusha. I will do that. I will definitely do that. I appreciate it. So let me do Jacobs, and we'll call it a night, and then we'll get the rest of them catch up next week. But thank you again for that, Donnie's Girl. It's so animated and it's just sparklers. Who doesn't like sparklers? Jacob Belchek, Hail Bill. I was fascinated by your recounting of your psychedelic experience. Thank you for sharing. While I'm a Christian, I'm not going to immediately say such things are inherently bad. I've heard several anecdotes of psychoactive treatment for PTSD, going as far as to suggest that new neural pathways are formed during the process that work around the traumatized places. Some research is beginning to suggest that concussions and explosions of modern warfare introduce micro tears in brain matter, which may impact PTSD flashbacks. How about that? Your brain becomes grooved from the pressure wave of an explosion, and certain memories are very easy to fall back into as a result. That's remarkable. That doesn't surprise me. I'd never heard it before, but it sounds amazing. Psychoactive drugs have seen some pretty impressive success in wiring neurons around these damaged places. I'm not an expert by any means, just recounting what I've heard. That being said, I believe that God designed your brain to work a certain way, and that consumption of psychedelics alters that, and not all spiritual forces are good, even if they appear to be initially. I couldn't agree more on that. Satan himself masquerades as an angel of light, as the scripture states. Please proceed with great caution for the sake of this concerned member. Well, thank you. As you said last week you don't meditate. How do you manage your spiritual health, if at all? Are there goals of spiritual growth that you'd like to attain? The honest answer that comes right out of my mouth is that most of my spiritual health is taken care of during the Stratosphere Lounge and the Stratosphere Studio. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. It's a great chance to I know it sounds like a one-way talk, but it's not. I'm constantly scanning the chat and obviously the questions. And it's a great therapy session for me. Michael Harvey with $100 super chat. Thank you, it says. Thank you, Michael. My God, man. I'm just getting blown away here, guys. Thank you. Thank you, Michael. Thank you very, very, very much. Thank you. I deeply appreciate that. I want to say I don't meditate. I don't have a church. I am slowly, I expect hopefully by the time I kick the bucket, I'll just scrape it under the wire. Because the challenge for me is to remain grateful in the face of adversity and things. And I know that just as a small example of this, is with the situation with Bean, learned a lot from that little cat. I miss him very much. But Bean showed me, what it's like to get old and what it's like to die of old age, and I watched him very, very, very carefully, because I was putting myself in his place. Thank you, Donnie girl. Leaving for home now. See you all on Friday. Aloha. Aloha to you, and thank you. It's so kind. Have a great trip. Be careful. Surf your way home if you can. And the thing about watching Bean was he was obviously declining, and I have the responsibility to make sure that he doesn't suffer any more than he had to. And so I had to watch him, and I did watch him every day for months. Watched him get weaker and thinner and have difficulty walking, and he would, sway a little bit, and sometimes he'd go around a corner, and it kind of like watching one of those long fire trucks where there's another driver in the back, where his hindquarters would kind of steer their own way around. And I was determined that I wasn't going to take a day away from that cat, and that I watched him and said, this is going to happen to me if I'm lucky. Oh my God. Nathan Balliet with $100 super chat. Well, I said I'm going to cut this show off after this question, but I expect I'm going to go another 8 or 9 hours as long as these things keep coming in. My God, man. Thank you, Nathan. Thank you. Thank all three of you. Thank all of you. The $5 super chats, the $2 super chats. Thank you. Nathan says, Bill, you've been influential in my worldview since the days of eject. I can't put value on the amount of critical thinking you made me do, and sincerely believe that you're a part of some of the best content on the internet. Thank you. Compliments mean as much as the money. Well, only there's money. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. But back to the business about the spiritual health and stuff. So I basically watched him, and I thought, I am going to be having to make this decision about myself at some point, and that's why Scott impressed me so much. With his Scott Adams, with his just the courage and the dignity of that message, and just the manliness of it. The steely-eyed missile man of, well, I haven't told anybody yet, but I've got terminal cancer, and it hurts like hell, and now we have to go out, and figure out a way to leave this world, and I just thought, man, that's inspirational. So back to the issue. So with Bean, I didn't want to take a day away from him, but I also thought, this is just my personal calculation. Everybody's calculation is different, although I like to think most people's calculations are more or less the same as this. He was very slow. He had a hard time getting in the center of the litter box. He would eat and throw up, but he wasn't suffering. He wasn't in pain. And as long as he wasn't suffering, I let him get old. He was dying, and I knew it. And there's no reversal from that. He would have good days, which are a real treat. If you've ever had to deal with anybody who's been terminal, the good days are really nice, and the temptation to think that that this is turning a corner, at least in the case of old age, there's no corner to turn. Schmelvik on YouTube with a $100 super chat. Let's keep it going, and thanks for reading my question. Been with you since the PJTV days. It was the first question on the forum, but we've interacted a few times on Facebook. Eric Jensema. Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Where have you people been all my life? Thank you. I'm just about to cry here. I'm just completely blown away by it. That's very, very kind. And DVC EZ says, Scott Adams said he helped pass a law in California where terminal patients can take a drink of a drug and go to sleep and die. I don't, some people have an ethical problem with that. I don't. But in the case of Bean, I was, all of a sudden people just dropped out of Twitch. In the case of Bean, I could tell when he's had these episodes for years where he would just lose his way and just develop amnesia and just wander around the house, but he wasn't suffering then either. But the last time he was just flat on his chin on the ground, on the tiles. And after 2 hours, he wasn't coming back. Hey, Eric, your Billable.com subscription is the lifeblood of all of this stuff. Yeah, at this rate, Mersh says we'll buy the Bohemian Grove. We'll buy those bastards out and we'll straighten them out. So there's that. And then as far as the psychedelics go, I went into that experience. I like to feel. I went into that experience well armed and armored. Natasha had done it and had some bad experiences because she's had a lot of trauma early in her life, and I was prepared for it to be horrible, but it was groovy. Of course, the devil can assume a pleasant aspect. I was determined not to take any. I was determined that I wasn't going to go in there and come out with a changed mind, because like a fundamentally changed worldview, because, and I didn't, because I feel like I spent a great deal of my time trying to examine that worldview and stay true to what appears to be true. But yes, I was concerned about that, and I was concerned about the religious aspects of it as well. I did see Altered States. I actually loved Altered States. I thought it was a really cool movie. So thank you for your concern, and I just want you to rest assured that I didn't take this any lightly, and it's been 3 years, so it's not like I mean, I did it 3 times and then I stopped doing it, and I haven't thought about it. Uh, um, Bob Knife with a $20 super chat. Been with you since best speech of 2012. My gosh, that was a barn burner, wasn't it? That was fun. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you, all of you. And thank you very much for this sentiment here from your busted half nickel swamp. Thomas Sowell's a living legend and still very cognitively with it at 95. You still have another good 30 years in you, Bill. I think I do too. And I just need to make them count. And, um, there has been, Black Dynamite. Dynamite, a $2 super chat. Black Dynamite's one of my favorite movies of all time. I absolutely adore that movie. Now listen, you jive turkeys. Chewie Tech Allegia 4 in the opening scene of that is so bloody perfect. If you're not, sorry to get off the thing. Anyway, hopefully I wrapped that up for you, Jacob. I've been careful. I will be careful. And whatever it was didn't put the hooks in me because I did 3 of them in the space of probably 3-4 months. And then after that, I just left it alone and haven't had a burning desire to do it since then. But just real quick, there's this. I've talked about it a few times on this show. The only reason I found it was because it was playing on somebody else's back of somebody else's seat on an airplane. Oh God, what the hell is this? It's a spoof on the blaxploitation movies from the '70s, and everybody's in it, including our friend Michael T. Williams, who played Bubba in Forrest Gump, who's a fine conservative and a great guy, and Black Dynamite is just wonderful, just wonderful. And he's got this scene where he meets, Jive Turkey, right? He's got the scene where he meets all of these pimps and drug dealers, and he says, and I've seen it out there, and a number of people in this room are out there selling drugs in the community. It's got to stop. And this one guy puts his hand up kind of sheepishly. He says, but Black Dynamite, I sell drugs in the community. It's great. It's great, great, great. Natalia is Russian Orthodox. Yes, Natasha is Russian Orthodox. And we went to a Russian Orthodox church when she first came to visit. And I'd never been in one before, and it was extremely impressive. Busted Half Nickel Swamp says my favorite actor ever is a conservative. It's Denzel Washington. I love him too, and what he's done since he's semi-retired makes me love him even more. But I loved him from the moment I saw him in Glory. I didn't see him on what was it, Chicago Hope or Saint Elsewhere, whatever, one of those things. Sun Wukong with the $10 super chat. Just saw a documentary called Tomcat Tales, which interviews Tomcat pilots and Rios over the life of the F-14. Do you think it was an error for the Navy to kill that system when it did? Yeah, let me pick that up and then we'll call it a day. So thank you for all of these things. It was saying elsewhere. And let me deal with this on the way out. The F-14 was a real bear to maintain, and not a dogfighter. Not that it really needed to be. The single great quality of the Tomcat was it was fast, and for fleet defense you need to get the combat air patrol out there the second you have that contact, and the further you can intercept those, you obviously would like to be able to get out there fast enough to shoot down the bombers before they drop their missiles. The axiom is you shoot the archer, not the arrows. As the range of surface-to-air missiles, enemy, in that case Soviet surface-to-air missiles, increased near the detection range. Hang on a second there, Swamp. As that increased, the speed that you got out there wasn't quite as important. The F-18 is a superb all-purpose fighter. It really is amazing. But there is something about the Tomcat. And one thing about the Tomcat, man, and Phyllis Knudsen mentioned Ward Carroll, who I'm a huge fan of. That is a big airplane. It's like the size of a DC-9. I mean, it's just a big, big, big airplane. I flew the F-14 in DCS very briefly, and its avionics are just right on the bubble between glass cockpit and steam gauges. So it's right there. It's funny because the F-14 is a Cold War fighter, but the F-15 is a post-Cold War fighter, and as well as a Cold War fighter, and the F-14 just couldn't make the transition. Now, obviously, the program was cut, but I think it was cut because, and the F-15 wasn't, because the F-15 had I don't know. The F-14 is a little ungainly looking with its wings out, but when its wings are swept, it may be just one of the best looking airplanes of all time. When the F-14's got its nose down and its tail feathers tucked, it just looks like a monster. In DCS, the F-14 and the Phoenix missile are simulated. The Phoenix missile is unreliable against maneuvering targets, but it wasn't designed to be against maneuvering targets. The Phoenix was supposed to have a 300-mile range and shoot down bombers that are not evading. They're just big, coming at you, and it's just bang, 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 knock them down. So it had a fleet defense role, but I think that the range of the air to surface missiles that the Russians were carrying, and the speed of the Tu the Blackjack bomber and the backfires, these supersonic bombers, they just realized that it just wasn't there. But I think a lot of it was the maintenance. For example, just as one small example, if I remember correctly, you cannot start an F-14 without a ground cart. But the F-18, as an example, starts on its own APU. You just put that thing out of the garage and fire it right up. And that's a lot to say for it. The F-15 has cartridges. I think you get 2 or 3 charges out of a bottle, and you try to start the engines, and then there you go. But the F-18 has got the APU, which just throw a switch, wait 20 seconds, and the green light comes on, and start airflow to the number 2 engine and get her going. Unlimited Hornet Works says, pretty sure the 14D could start with an APU. The A model needed the cart. Well, that wouldn't surprise me. So it got me started about planes. So it's time to go home. And I'd love to do the Dodger game, Busted Nickel Swamp. You're out in Pasadena. That's right. We're practically neighbors. So I just am overwhelmed with work right at the moment. But nevertheless, I would like that an awful lot when things calm down a little bit here. So let's see what we got to do. All right, I think I got to get out of here before somebody asks me another question about I don't know, Harriers and jump jets and stuff. I'm just gonna close this up right now. But thanks to everybody, and especially for those astonishingly generous super chats, which make a real difference here. They really do. I need to turn super thanks on the channel. I keep forgetting to do that because I'm an idiot. And there we go. Yeah, we do need another aviation night. We should do that, and that way we can have people who don't want to be there. They can just check out. Maybe that should be a special night or something. And we have Big Bootace's Starship test launch next Monday, a week from tonight. So maybe we'll do Stratosphere Studio early for a change. I think it's a 4:30 launch. Is that Central Time or Pacific? But yeah, we'll definitely get in there early enough to watch the thing. Although the booster catch is getting lackadaisical now. They've only caught it twice, but they've caught it every time they try to catch it. So it's impressive. Okay. Anyway, thanks to everybody for everything and all the kind words and all the rest of it. And yeah, and long live John Boyd, the memory of him anyway. And sorry we missed your questions there, guys, but your regulars, you put them in next time, we'll get it. So I think that'll do it. We'll say goodnight to our friends on YouTube. The show's made possible by the members at BillWhittle.com who have been parting with money since we started doing this, and could not be more grateful, and we're aware of it all the time. So thank you very much for that. So we will see you guys on Friday night for the Stratosphere Lounge.